The Cows, Gus T. Renegade, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Monday, May 19, 2025. So I have been told, as stated on previous broadcasts, Gus T. Renegade, the normal scheduling here at the Cows, slightly disrupted because Gus T, for the second year in a row, is attending the 51st annual Seattle International Film Festival as a journalist, and it has been just, wow, exhausting. Lots to think about, lots of racism in many, many movies. At this point, this is officially day 4 of the festival, which will continue on through Sunday. So lots of movies and lots of days left of the festival. But at this point, I have seen 14 total films on the big screen of the festival, and I can honestly say that none of them have been poor at this point, and there has been plenty of racism, regardless of where these films have originated from on this here planet. So, for today, and as I said, I think I finally did the festival correctly as a journalist, where I took advantage of all the resources to try to learn more about the many films, over 200 that they had at the film festival this year and last year, 2024 as well, and viewing as many of the previews as possible. The film that I have the privilege of discussing at this moment was one of those films where I'm so thankful that I invested the time to watch the screener. You get the advance press preview. I'm so thankful. I enjoyed it. I watched the film over and over. TINÁ 2025 edition, or one of the 2025 offerings at the SIFF Festival here in Seattle. Just wow. I did not think, even when I watched this film the first time around, I did not think that I would be interviewing both the filmmaker, Mr. Miki Magasiva, as well as one of the main actors in the film, Beulah, Koale. But that is what happened at SIFF on this day. You will hear the recorded interview that we did just a few hours ago, beginning, or kind of about noon-ish, a little bit before, on this here Monday. But these are two non-white, proud Samoan filmmakers. This is their debut offering from the Brown Factory. You'll hear them explain exactly what that is right at the beginning of the film. I do want to say humbly, and you'll hear me explain this in the film in no small way, because this film, the filmmakers, Samoan, they came all the way from New Zealand to participate in the festival. Racism, white supremacy is global, and so that is a major, and I mean main theme of this film. Racism, white supremacy against non-white people in New Zealand. I guess a quick synopsis. What is this here film about, Gus T? This here film is set in a school, well, what shall I say, a really wealthy, white-dominated school in New Zealand. The main character in the film, you have to forgive me my pronunciation, Annapella Palatavao. I'm so ignorant. They pronounced it for me correctly, and you'll hear her name pronounced perfectly in a few seconds. But she gives an immaculate performance. I was so hoping that she was going to be at the festival, but of course she had lots of other things to do, so she could not come all the way to Seattle to hang out with us. But wow, she gives an amazing performance. Lead actress, just wow, what a performance. But she is grieving the loss of her non-white daughter, who perishes right at the beginning of the film in the Christchurch earthquake. And as a part of her grieving process, and because she is about to lose her welfare benefits, she has to get a job, so she goes back to teaching, and she forms a choir at this really wealthy, white-dominated school that's going to have, of course, mostly white students on the choir, and it just kind of follows their effort from there. I think that's kind of a brief synopsis. Now, importantly, when Gus T read about this film, for whatever reason, my reading comprehension, stress, rushed, you make up an excuse. I thought, and I even have to add, perhaps just the resonance of the event, the Christchurch 2019 shooting. I thought that Miss Annapella Palataivo was grieving the loss of her daughter from the Christchurch terrorist attack. That's not what it is. It's from the 2011 earthquake, which killed nearly 200 people. No small event, massive, important. I was totally ignorant about that. Need to learn more. Still learning. But I, for whatever reason, thought this was the Christchurch shooting. It is not, but it still has so much to say about racism, white supremacy in New Zealand. And thankfully, my ignorance gave me an opportunity to ask Mr. Magasiva as well as Mr. Koale, to ask them both about where they were when the Christchurch event happened and their reflections on that tragic racist massacre 6 years out, which was, but now I think that's the first time that I've been able to talk to people that actually reside in that part of the world about that event that has had far-reaching ramifications influencing race soldiers around the world. That said, you will get to hear that discussion as well as lots of details about the film, correct pronunciation of all the names that I have probably butchered, mental health for non-white males specifically. I get to ask them if diversity, equity, inclusion, do they have that in New Zealand, and did they get pushback around that for making this film that deals so much about racism? I'm just going to play the scene because I asked them about it. Now, this is such a, wow, dramatic, impactful scene in the film of many, but why? And I mean, talk about racism, white supremacy, global system. I was able to ask them in detail about this scene, which was amazing to get it right from the director, and just, wow, super thankful. Thank you to SIF for allowing me to borrow a little bit of these amazingly talented actors and filmmakers' time. And you'll get to hear from them right from the beginning of the interview, their passion with making films for non-white people, Samoans, Polynesians throughout in New Zealand, Australia, that whole region of the Pacific. You'll hear that, and talking specifically about the difficulty of being non-white and trying to make movies, and just the enormous gratitude that they got around the film here at SIF. I couldn't even get in to see the film today. I was so thankful I saw it in advance because so many people, I guess, heard about the film and were really pleased and looking forward to seeing it. So without further ado, we will get right to it. Amazing film, TINÄ. The filmmaker, Mr. Miki Magasiva, one of the main actors in the film, talk about mental health. Wow, what a privilege to talk to them both. Mr. Beulah Koale was with us as well. Take a listen to what they both had to say and pay attention. The Brown Factory.
Crap, did you do the chemistry?
Quiet, pufters.
Apes.
What do you say, Cheng?
Oi, leave him alone.
What's your problem?
My problem is they're my teammates.
Why there isn't a team?
Don't be a dick, Noah.
I'll knock you on your fucking ass.
Just like that, eh?
Get off me! Get off me!
Get off him! You alright?
Fuck off, you black bitch.
Gus T, we're here at the 51st annual 2025 Seattle International Film Festival. It has been raucous. I think we're only 4 days into the festival at this point, so lots of good stuff still to come. I've seen 11 films, none of them bad thus far, so it's been really great. Monday morning, bright and early, and I'm super excited. One of the films that I really enjoyed a lot, it's screening again this evening. I might not even be able to see it. It got so much love and support, which is awesome, but I was able to see it in advance, and it really, for whatever reason, I really enjoyed this film. I've watched it many, many times and am just tickled to have an opportunity to speak with the filmmaker one of the lead actors from the film. They came all the way from the other side of the planet to speak with us from New Zealand. Again, just super humbled that they could make time for us this morning. Joining us live, the filmmaker, Mr. Miki Magasiva, and one of the main actors of the film, Mr. Beulah, Koale. Thank you all so much for spending time with us this morning, and hope you all had a fantastic, great flight over here and great debut with the film.
Privilege, lovely to meet you, Gus. Thanks, mate.
Thank you for having us.
For sure.
Appreciate it.
For sure. I guess I'll confess, be humble. When I was reading the synopsis for TINÁ, loved the film, but the first time I read it, I did a really poor job. I don't know if I was just slow that day, if I need glasses, what the problem, but when and it could just be the resonance of the region, but when I read it, I thought that it said, TINÁ is recovering from the tragedy at Christchurch. I thought they were talking about the 2019 massacre. I had to watch the film like, wait a minute, earthquake, wait a minute, okay, I still love the film, but I just got totally crisscrossed about that. I'm sure I'm the only one that you all have had that experience where it somehow got connected.
Different experience for you.
Okay. Just since Christchurch is referenced in the film and that horrific massacre that took place in 2019, just you all are from this region. Do you all remember where you were when that event happened? I guess I'll start with you, Mr. Beulah.
I was in Hawaii, and I remember exactly where it was and just the shock I felt when I saw the news. I told my wife, and the sadness instantly. Christchurch has been through a lot the last couple of years, so it's always an honor to bring a light, to use art to bring light and to help our city heal, help a country heal, and
Mr. Magasiva?
Yeah, no, I remember it well. I was in Auckland at the time, and it was such a shock and a tragedy, and an event in New Zealand that just never happens. We do not have gun violence in New Zealand. And so to have something like that play out in our shores, and we really consider ourselves a peaceful nation, an inclusive nation, a multicultural nation. So to have that on our shores just blew everybody away, and also reminded us that we can't be relaxed about that sort of stuff. That we need to be aware of each other, and this idea of gun violence just can't happen in our country. So we're going through challenges at the moment with our gun reform and our gun law, but it's something that New Zealanders are not used to and don't want to see in our country. So like Beulah said, our story is set in Christchurch. They have been through a lot down there. We just hope that our film provides them with a little bit of hope and a little bit of healing, as much as a filmmaker can do and a storyteller can do. And our hearts always go out to the region. We've got lots of love for Christchurch. We spent a lot of time down there. And so we just hope that we can give them a little bit of shining light in amongst a world that's often quite hard.
Well said. Last question on that, and then we'll get straight to the film. Did you all have any idea, it's 6 years on now, did you all have any idea that this event would tragically inspire other acts of racist violence around the world based on the manifesto and what happened in 2019 Christchurch?
No, again, because New Zealand is not used to that. And so to see that happen back home and then learn that that does spread acts of hate, it's just so shocking for us. We don't like to be seen in that way. We have never had that sort of violence in our country before. And so, to hear that doesn't make us feel good. And we certainly, as a nation, don't want that to happen again. So, yeah, it's very, very sad to hear that.
Mr. Koale?
Yeah, it always... Miki said it, we're a nation that doesn't like to see that. Gun violence is not even in our language back home in New Zealand, because gun culture and hate crimes like that never happens. But it did happen this time, and mistakes were made. But what I love about my country is that we come together as a people, and because of this disgusting incident that this individual done, we come together as a country and learned to accept different cultures even more, bringing in our Muslim families, brothers and sisters, rallying around them, different cultures and ethnicities, all traveling down to Christchurch, singing waiata songs, hymns, doing haka, performing, to let these people know that this one individual may have terrorized your guys' life, but we as a country of 5 million will come together and know that the rest of us love and support our Muslim brothers and sisters, whoever suffers any pain and trauma from individuals like this. And with that, with love, like our film a little bit, is, we use that to heal. So love will always conquer everything. So, yeah.
Well said, well said. On to TINÁ. Can you tell us a little bit about the Brown Factory?
Yes, so the Brown Factory was started with a friend of mine and my business partner. We are both Pacific Island filmmakers who came together to try and start a company that was Pacifica, was fully Pacifica, and tried to do Pacific creative stories, films, television, and do it in a way that felt like was very us, and in a way that we could set the tone for our stories and our productions. And so my business partner and I, Mario Ngawa, we started it, and TINÁ is the first project that we set under the umbrella, the Brown Factory umbrella, and we just hope that we can get enough momentum for the production company so that we can try and foster a new generation of brown storytellers and Pacific Island filmmakers, because it's very hard back home to get your foot in the door, especially as a brown person. So we've just started this company to try and do our own works, get a bit of momentum, hopefully get a bigger portfolio, and then try and foster in the next generation of young Pacific Island filmmakers.
Love it, love it. What is an island film?
Yeah.
That is a great question.
It's a great question, right? And I'm glad you asked it, because it's something that we have been trying to ask ourselves throughout this process. What is an island film? What is it to be an island Pacific Island filmmaker? What is our identity? What is our brand? I asked myself that quite a lot in the process of making this film, because I would like to get to a stage in my career and hopefully a stage as a Pacific Island community where we have an identity as Pacific Island filmmakers. And there hasn't been that many films to come through, that many stories to be made. But what is exciting is that we're probably at the forefront of what it is to define who we are as storytellers, who we are as Pacific Island filmmakers. And in this film, you'll see a lot of things that I am experimenting with. I've thrown a lot of stuff in there. One of the reasons I've done that is because I'm having a play. I'm trying to get a feel for what it is to be a Pacific Island filmmaker. Is it telling our stories? Is it being spiritual? Is it shooting it in a way that feels Pacific? So we're still trying to figure out what that is, but it's an exciting time because we now have the chance to try and unlock the key, unlock that puzzle, and find the keys of what it is to be us in this format.
Yeah, it's always about the journey, eh? Yeah. It's like rather than the result, you know. And like Miki was saying, we're honoured to be at the forefront, to be at the tip of the spear, to try and define what is an island film. That comes with a lot of weight because we're not just carrying ourselves, we're carrying a people, a nation. We're inspiring children and our children, and trying to foster a new generation of kids who can redefine what a brown film is. I hope we never answer that question. I hope we're always discovering. We're always looking. We always have an open mind and an open heart to what is out there in the world. I hope we bring in other cultures to our brownness, to our people. So, yeah. The day we figure it out is, I think, the day we lose. So I hope we keep searching and keep journeying. Yeah.
What an answer. What an answer. Mr. Magasiva, you co-wrote TINÁ, is that correct?
Well, yes. I wrote it, and our producer on the film, his name's Mario Ngahua, he also contributed to the writing as well. But I pretty much wrote the whole thing as well. Yeah.
Very impressive. Okay. What was the most difficult part of writing this script?
I think probably the most difficult part was getting to a stage, like with all scripts, in the development process, and it being my first feature film, you're just trying to get it signed off, really. You're just trying to get it to a stage where everybody can agree that this is the thing that they're going to invest in. And so there was a lot of going back and forward, trying to dial in to what investors want, what the governing bodies wanted, but also desperately trying to hold on to my voice. Like we say, we were speaking about it before, my voice as a filmmaker. And so trying to juggle all of those things together and getting to a place where you come out the end of it and you haven't ruined your script was a real challenge. And, I don't know if I got there, but I gave it a good shot.
Okay. I need help with the pronunciation,
Yes.
but the main actress,
Yes.
Anapela Tayavao. I was not going to say that. I thought she was immaculate. I was so disappointed she didn't come, but I mean, it is a long way. But wow, can you just tell me the process of how you selected her and just your thoughts on what I thought was an extraordinary performance?
So Annabella Poletavao wasn't able to be here, but she desperately wanted to be here and was excited about it. She is such a busy lady back home. She is one of our superstars. She acts in this film, but she also is a writer, she's a producer, and she's a stage director. And she is working on a stage production at the moment in Christchurch. So she wasn't able to be here, but she does send her love to everybody out here. I didn't select her, she selects herself. Everybody in New Zealand knows who Beulah is, and we call her lovingly Beulah. She's been in the game for so long that when this part was conceived, you could throw this in front of anyone in New Zealand and say, who could play this role? And every single one of them would say Beulah. So she's our Pacific, we call her our Pacific performance matriarch. She's our friend, she's our family. We've known each other for a very long time. She helped develop the character, she helped develop the story right from early stages of the draft. She was coming in and reading, and we were talking about the story, and so I was rewriting based on conversations that we had. And then when it came closer to the time of being green lit, that was when we made it official that she would play the role, and she gladly accepted. Yeah, we were lucky.
She's the mother of Pacific Island artists in all of New Zealand. Her realm is the theatre, and that's where I started as well. So anyone who come through the theatre as a young kid, or you always went straight through the teachings, the jandals, the tough words of, I call her Mum, Annapella. And she's a leader in our community, and she's been given an opportunity, because it's like Miki said, she's been in the game for a very long time, but there have never been opportunities for her to lead a film, and to be given an opportunity like this to shine. And she is the complete opposite to me. She is very quiet, humble, goes about her work in a very meticulous, well thought out way, and would rather be in the background, hiding, never likes to shine, but craft is always first with her, living in the moment, making sure everything is well thought out and said properly. So we just love that she's been given an opportunity to shine, and the world can see her the way we've always known her to be. Immaculate
performance. Just bummed she couldn't be here. The racial dynamics I thought were so stark in so many ways in the film. And this is as someone, I've never been to New Zealand, totally ignorant about this region of the world. But just when things like just the very beginning of the film, when your character, he's working, I think it's social, I don't know what they call it over there, but social services. He's working at social services, and it seems like all the clients, including TINÄ, are non-white people, Samoans who are in need of help, services. When she's talking about the children, of which you used to be one, that she's taking care of these abandoned rats, it seems like it's a lot of non-white children that are in need of help. Even at the school, the positions, the teachers and administrators seem like these wealthy white people, and the kind of lowly staff folks seem like the bouncers and non-white people. Like, is that an honest reflection of what things look like in New Zealand in 2025?
Oh, Gus, you nailed it, bro. Yes, you're right on there. Look, when you have a minority, almost in any part of the world, they have to take on those kinds of responsibilities, and they go into the workplaces that is not necessarily at the top end, and Pacific Islanders are like that back home. You know, we are struggling to make our way, and there's very few of us, although there are people that succeed and have had success in their professional careers. Majority of us are struggling, and that is just what we've known our entire lives. Our parents were like that. Our parents worked multiple jobs to try and look after our families, and have given us this rare opportunity to be filmmakers. Who would have thought that we'd be sitting here, Gus, talking to you from all the way on the other side of the world. That is all down to the sacrifices our parents made. And so we wanted to highlight that fact. I want to highlight that in everything I go on to do. Mm-hmm. It's just real. It's real life. That's what we see. That's what we see through our eyes. And so what you see in the film there is reflective of what we've seen and what happens back home. But, you know, we're talking about who we are and as Pacific Island filmmakers. And perhaps, like we saw last night, one of the things that we can try and do is, you know, give people like us, our community, a little bit of hope. We were talking yesterday that we haven't seen this back home, but we saw this for the first time last night, which was some young girls who were crying and came up to us after the film, still crying, and just giving us a massive hug. And we said to them, "Oh, are you okay? What's going on?" And we came out of it with the sense that they had never seen themselves represented on the big screen before. They had never seen their faces in positions that probably are very rare and unique here. And so to be able to see people like them on the big screen watching a movie, perhaps, and I hope, gave them a little bit of hope that they can actually strive to, you know, to do the things that they thought were perhaps very difficult to do before. So I probably veered off the path there in terms of answering that question, but I would just wanted to, you know, tell that story about we just get so much thrill about our community and our people being from where we're from and seeing what we've done and hopefully getting inspiration from that.
Mr. Koale?
Yeah, Miki pretty much nailed it in terms of representing our people and telling the story. I mean, what you see in the film is what happens in our country in terms of the racial lines and where our people are put. But we have to use that as a superpower. We're always of the go that we use negative energy and we have to make it positive because we have to show and give our people hope. Because and that's why we're storytellers. We are the product of successful dreams that our parents put out there when they first traveled to New Zealand to try and get a better life and work those multiple jobs for us to survive and for us to be here on the other side of the world talking with you about a film that is about them. It's a full circle moment, eh? And yeah, like Miki was said, the weight of the weight and the yearning of our people wanting to see themselves, anything Pacific, over here is very different to back home in New Zealand, Australia, and the Pacific. Like we were talking about it yesterday and telling our people yesterday, it's like, I can feel the weight of when they ask us, keep going, please. It hits different here because they're yearning for more. There's nothing for them to see here. But in New Zealand, we're very blessed with a lot of opportunities that we have way more privilege than they do over here, to tell stories and opportunities, to believe in yourself. And there's a career in the arts back home in New Zealand and Australia. And over here, you get the sense that there's not that. There's none of that belief. So for them to sit in a cinema full of Pacific Island people, Indigenous people, and see themselves on the screen, you can only hope that it fosters dreams, it gives them hope, and sparks conversations after they leave the cinema. Art is successful when you leave the cinema and the conversation continues. The dream continues on for whatever the individual went through in that cinema. So, yeah.
Powerful. Mr. Magasiva, the scene in the school where Ming almost chokes out one of the young wrestlers. Oh my gosh. Can you give us some of the background for that brawl, racial brawl, really, race war in the school scene?
Yeah, it's interesting, that scene. It's something, it's a very racially charged scene that I have tried to dilute with a little bit of humor through that, the little tussle that the team get into. But as we all know, that has probably the most hard-hitting line of the entire film. And it's interesting because you all in the States probably don't consider us Polynesians to be black. But back home, that's how we've grown up. We have grown up with that prejudice. We have grown up being called black, being called the words that you get called here. That's what we've been called back home. So even though we're brown of color and we're from the islands, that is the connotation that we have grown up knowing. So I wanted to reflect that in the film, and it's one of the lines that probably back home has hit the hardest with, has generated probably the most conversations. People agreeing with that line, people disagreeing with that line, people saying whether that line is appropriate or not appropriate. As a storyteller, you need to make these choices. And from my perspective, I just want to reflect something that's real. If I've heard it in my life, then I'm putting it in, and I don't care what happens, because that's what I saw through my eyes. So it's there to tell everybody that stuff happens back home. But like you've seen, and I've said a lot in interviews before, this film is not about that. It's about cultural acceptance. It's about acceptance of each other. We live in this world together. We need to find commonality in each other. And some of that commonality we find in music, and some of that commonality we need to get through our elders, our leaders, our teachers, our parents. And hopefully that filters down to the next generation who's going to take on those positions, those powerful positions. And if they can get there with a bit of teaching from the village, that old school teaching, that isn't really always from the Pacific, it's from all cultures around the world. Old school values of just respecting your elders. I'll just use that one. There's a lot in the film, but just respecting your elders, I think, can go a long way to, making sure that the next generation doesn't say those lines.
Wow. Is that something that you heard? Is that authentic?
What's your experience? 1,000,000%. It's not even something. It's something that I've heard. It's something that I've seen. It's something that you feel when you walk into certain rooms. And being Polynesian in our industry, in a very white-dominated industry, you feel it when you walk into a room. There's no denying that. And so it's on us to try and change that. It's on us to try and tell the stories and say it from a truthful perspective, like what Miki is doing, but using light and he's very smart in the way that he put that line in there, because like you said, he used humor. He used lightness to lift the dark, but you still feel the sting of where that comes from. It's not even about the word, because everyone back home knows and feels that. When you go into these private schools, when you go into meetings, when you're writing a film and people are trying to tell you that is not real, that is not who this person is, and then you're sitting there going, you cannot say that because you're the opposite skin color to me and you do not know our perspective. You cannot say that this individual is real. What you're really saying is you do not like to see yourself in the light that we see you. You know, so it's on us to put that out there, to show them the truth, put the mirror in front of society, but also use an entertaining and fun way to tell the story, because if it's too heavy and too dark, no one's going to get the message. So you got to be smart like Miki. Use light, use love, but make sure the sting is there and the message is there that audiences can take the message and learn from it. So, yeah.
Do they have, here in the States, we have been having what they call diversity, equity, inclusion pushback, to where people, when they try to talk about racism or bring up issues of this nature, say, whoa, we don't want to talk about all that. You know, you're going to make people feel bad. You might make white people feel bad, make them feel guilty about things. So we're not going to. Have they had that in New Zealand? Did you get any of that sort of criticism about this film?
Well, we have that. There's no doubt that we have that as well back home. That's happening in our community currently. We haven't had that for this film. I mean, we have had statements on how 100% accurate our depiction of all of our racial content is. But like we've just explained, nothing is in there that we haven't seen before. The funny thing is that some of that criticism has come from our own people. Wow. So I think they are just... and like we spoke about before, just because you haven't seen it through your eyes also, it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And so the film has sparked a tiny bit of conversation in that realm, whether you're making people feel uncomfortable or not. But I think the overwhelming response doesn't even touch on that at all, doesn't touch on that subject. Have really just embraced the movie for what it is, has understood the movie for what it is and the healing intention of the movie. And so not too much, just I would say a whisper, a breeze.
I love it. Okay. Man. I guess I don't know if it's goofy or not, but I just got into plants and I actually just purchased a Monstera plant. And so I noted the Monstera leaf on Anapella's shirt. Is that symbolic in Polynesian culture, the Monstera leaf?
Yeah, well, that's the pulatasi that she wears. Always depicts our flowers. From back home, they're always either patented with Pacific patent or garnished or with a look of Pacific Island flowers. So that's a part of that. That particular dress you're talking about is trying to marry her connection to both Samoa, the Pacific, but also New Zealand, Aotearoa as well. So that one that's a darker dress. You'll notice that's a darker one compared to the more colourful one she wears. She wears it later in the piece as well. So that particular design is trying to embrace all of those things, both her connection to the two lands that she lives in.
Okay. I guess trigger warning. Mental health and all of that, very important. I thought it was such a powerful, I guess it's a major theme throughout the film, your character, Mr. Koale, where you are encouraging TINÄ, like, hey, I'm in this mental health group, you should come get counseling, your daughter passed away, it might be beneficial, and she's kind of resistant, but eventually she does break down and comes to the group, says she's going to prove that she is courageous, and then your character has this episode of suicide later on, or near suicide attempt later in the film. And I just thought that was so important to address, especially in the context of this film. Are non-white people, are they impacted in terms of mental health as a result of racism? Do you see these sorts of things happening in terms of mental health, where it might be suicide or severe depression?
Yeah, it's a human thing, you know. It does not discriminate the mental health. So and it's very real, like Miki said. We're not putting in, nothing is in that film that he has not seen or lived through, and that moment is dedicated, or a lot of that film is dedicated to a very close, his family member and a very close friend of mine, and those are stories that we're always trying to show, because it is real to us. And it's when Miki was writing this film, a lot of the film TINÃ, you can sense the healing from trauma, healing from just healing in general, and it's very important to tell these stories because it's real. No matter how much our people, humans, refuse to want to talk about it or refuse to push it into the closet, these conversations have to happen, and it has to be out there so that people can realize that it can be the happiest person, you know. It usually is the person with the biggest smile and the most light in the world that's going through a challenge within themselves that they feel alone. And then you make films like this, and then you show them the mirror. You go, this is you, this is happening, but this is how you can get out of it. You know, it's always about hope. Always, I was having a conversation even this morning with one of the young Polynesian girls that we met yesterday after the film, and we had a conversation around that. And it's really simple. The message that I always give her: believe in yourself, believe in your culture. Your culture is your superpower. You are not alone, even if you feel alone. Because your DNA, you're surrounded, you're supported by so many ancestors that you cannot see with the human eye, you know? So that is your superpower. When you're alone and when you're in those moments, you have to believe in yourself. And when I say yourself, that carries your blood, that carries your ancestors. You know, even out in the world, if you're alone, you're never alone inside, spiritually. So, yeah.
Can you speak to it seems so willful, deliberate, your focus on mental health throughout this film?
Yeah, I just, like Beulah was saying, it is just real life. It is what we go through. There has been a little bit of talk in the film about whether I put too many of those layers in there. And my pushback would be that is what it is to be a human. That we do go through all sorts of challenges, whether that just be getting up in the morning and going to work, or whether that be having a shower and washing yourself, or whether that be the more serious things like mental health, the passing away of loved ones, whether you have children that you have to look after, whether you have to go to your job every day. Every single human on this planet, we take for granted the amount of things that we have to go through just in one day. And so I wanted to put all of those things in there because it is hard to be human, and we have to navigate these things all the time. And I know lots of friends who have not only had people pass away in their lives, but they, at the same time that they've had 2 family members pass away, they're also going through mental health. So I wanted to touch on all of that, and I wanted to put that in the film. Like Beulah said, it was a part of my life that I was going through where that was important to me. And so I wanted to not address it, but just to have it a part of the story that I was working on. But not throw it in there haphazardly too. What I've tried to do is use all of the things that we go through in life to push my main character along. So his C.O.W.S journey there is about family. The challenges that he goes through, yes, happen, and we will go through that. And a large part of the film is about mental health, but also men's mental health. But really what I'm trying to do there is push my main character towards decisions that she has to make. And so one of the things that she really looks back at herself and regrets in her life, and the way that she feels is she feels like she chose her profession over her family, and that is one of her big regrets. And so when we work our way through the film again, and this thing happens again, where family comes up again, and she's felt like she's just gone back into the professional realm, she's faced with a choice. And her realization in the film is that those two things aren't different. They're exactly the same. That there are things in life that you cannot, you can't decide a lot of things in life. But what she's come to realize is that being a teacher is being a parent. Having your family and having children that you have to look after is one and the same thing. So yes, I'm dealing with mental health, but also I'm trying to make sure that I'm pushing my main character towards a position in the film, or an arc in the film that she's trying to get to.
Wow, so many layers. So many. Men's mental health. I'm gonna have to think about that one. That is important because they don't really talk about men's mental health. That's still kind of not very much discussed even here in the States, and I suspect other parts of the world too.
Well, what I've said a lot to a lot of people now. I was after men. I wanted to provide a space for men to go into where they could grieve. And Beulah and I have grown up around a lot of physically strong men. And being back home in New Zealand, it has been traditionally a very macho community where men's health isn't talked about. Let's face it, that happens all over the world. And so when I said originally I'm going after the men, what I was really saying was that I wanted to provide a story and a space that men could go into, and they could express that emotion of grief, and they could be around other men, and they could really embrace the emotion of just having a good cry and just releasing and having a release for that. And luckily, we've seen that happen a lot. We've seen a lot of men go to the movies with their partners, and they've come out and they've had a good cry, because like I went through myself while I was writing the movie, I just felt so good after I had a good cry. And so I just wanted other men to share that, wanted other men to release that emotion, wanted to tell other men there's nothing wrong with releasing that emotion. Let's embrace that emotion. It's just what it is to be human. So I hope men can go to the film and watch it with loved ones in a safe space and express that emotion.
That is amazing. I'm going to have to watch that again just for the men's mental health. It is mostly males in the support group. Is that he invites Tina to, it's mostly males. I'm going to watch that again and pay attention. Man, that is amazing. Like, I'm going to make sure I didn't miss any of my questions, but wow, I am so impressed. Like, I love the film anyway. I've watched it many times. I told you I was super bummed that I might miss it today because y'all have so much love and support here in the city. But like, man, I have been so impressed that even what I've heard today, like, wow, like everyone support the Brown Factory. Support the Brown Factory. More island films are needed. Just from what you said, the experience yesterday at the film where these young people came up and were in tears, happily in tears. Representation matters. Do they actually have black people in New Zealand?
Yeah, we have a small community of black people as well there. But it's very small. Yeah. Man, we're too far away in New Zealand, you know. Only the canoes could get there.
Other side of the planet.
Yeah.
Other side of the planet.
Yeah. But please come.
Welcome.
We would love to have you.
It looks so pretty. It looks so pretty. I have to get Brown Film screening, or excuse me, the Brown Factory. I have to come for a screening over there. It looks beautiful. So. Next movie, when you cut to feature film number 2.
That's us.
See if I can backpack over there, man.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Miki, Magasiva, Beulah, Koale. Amazing film. I'm going to see if I can go see it again this evening. But thank you all so much for sharing a bit of your time with us this morning. Have a fantastic screening of the film, and just best of luck with your continued needed critical efforts with filmmaking.
Thank you guys. Much love, bro.
For sure, for
Thank
sure.
you so much.
Man, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing a bit of your Monday with me.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Keep up your outstanding work. Like, man.
Nigga, you so brainwashed.
I'm a victim,
No
brother.
problem. You're a victim.
I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning.
Shut up.
The man has programmed my condition. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.